Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today is part 2 of a Facebook Live that I did with Samantha King on how to create your first digital product. She is an amazing part of the Authority Gang, and you can listen to the Authority Gang episodes. They're the second Friday of every month. But in today's episode, we're continuing our conversation on the importance of having that digital product as an entrepreneur and how you can use it to build your business. So please make sure that you stay tuned, enjoy, and thank you so much for being an Author to Authority podcast listener. Here we go, Samantha King. But just something else that I found was, I do all this and then, maybe it doesn't work forever. Well, it's not going to work forever. Your business is going to grow and change. You're going to develop courses. But I actually, developed a full book writing course. It's not available because it's going to be part of, the Author to Authority book funnel and everything else like that. So it's not available right now. But I actually started selling the course before I developed the course. And when I had sold several of them, that's when I developed them and put together a whole weekend. And so because I already sold it, it was the motivation that I had to get it done. And I sold it at a lower price the first time because I hadn't developed it yet. And so, people were able to take advantage of it at a lower price. And I told them, listen, I'm still developing this, but, I'll give you a lower price to test it out on you. Right?
Yeah, beta testing.
Exactly. And so, I got paid to create this course.
Exactly. And you got proof of concept. It is definitely something people want because people paid you for it. Right? Yeah. And that's why I encourage you to talk to your audience. I encourage you to start with a great online course, a digital product. I love online courses. So I encourage you to start with a digital product, right, guys? Talk to your audience, start with a digital product, create that landing page, see if anybody wants it. Yeah. Right? That's that proof of concept. And make it part of, I think one of the key things that you just said was that, you did it as part of a bigger strategy. That's what we're asking you to do. Okay. And that's kind of what, when you look at like the other digital people out there that are talking about courses, they're talking about courses as like, this is the only thing. Right. Well, we know that our businesses are multifaceted. Many of us like working one-on-one with clients. So why would we only do a course when we also want to do one-on-one work? We also know that our audience needs more than that. Our clients need interaction and engagement at different levels. And eventually it's going to get to the point where personalization is the last piece of the puzzle for them to get their transformation that we want to help them get. Yes. Right? And so that means that the course needs to be part of that bigger strategy. Like you said, you took the course, you sold it before it was ready, proof of concept, but it's part of a bigger strategy, right? It's part of your book launch. It's part of your marketing, because what you've done is identified your one thing. And one of the things we talk about in our Friend Zone to Profitable guides, and you can buy them, here's a great digital product example. You can buy them for $17 on our website, FempireBuilders.com. And we talk about your niche, your unique selling proposition, finding your one thing, then building your authority in it, and then your digital product as a way for you to package your experience into something that runs without you. And you've done that with the Author to Authority value ladder or sales funnel that you're coming out with, right?
Well, and you and I both start at that same place. So, it's that core marketing message. Who do you serve? Right? How do you serve them? And then, who are you in relationship to the first two? What is your business persona? Right? So you and I do the exact same thing when we bring a client on. It's like, that's the foundation. So we're giving you something really golden today. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you can get that foundation laid. So think about that. And don't think about who's going to pay you the most. Think about who do you really want to serve.
That's right?
What type of person floats your boat? For me, I love working with entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, coaches. People who have strong messages, big hearts, who love to help others, and who have powerful ways of doing that. That's one of the reasons why I connected with you, Samantha. We met at a networking meeting. Yeah. And I remembered I was sitting there and I was kind of bored. It hasn't quite started yet. I was walking around a little bit, but I kept watching Samantha and I thought, man, she's really somebody I wanted to talk to. So as soon as her table was kind of empty and, we weren't in the middle of stuff, I walked up to her and we started having like an amazing conversation. And there was, immediate synergy and between the two of us. And so, that is something that's incredibly important, is finding those right people that you want to work with.
Yeah. And I think, you think about the clients who you love working with and the people you really want to work with. I think the other thing that's key and probably, is part of why you like working with clients that you work with is your niche comes from your story.
Yes.
Right? It comes from your story. I help service providers who are stuck in the friend zone because that's where I was, right? I get it. So very much when you're thinking about your niche, you want it to come from your story. And pricing and all of that stuff, that comes after. You have to first know who you're targeting. And you may have people who are used to being at a certain price point, but you want to move to a different price point. There's ways to market and strategize that to make sure that you're not pricing yourself out of your hot audience that you've got right now as you move into a new different price point, right? There's lots of different factors that come into that stuff. But I think one of the things that's really key is as you're building your authority and you're figuring out what your unique selling proposition is, and again, we have guides on our website that can help you do that in our Friend Zone to Profitable collection. You want to also be finding the people who serve the same client as you but don't do what you do, because you can never start too early building your authority. Yes. Never, right? You might have a launch frame of usually it's like 6 to 8 weeks that I would go with my clients for their course, for their online course or their book or their digital product. But you should be, once you know what your one thing is, that's when you start building your authority in it. You find people. So Kim and I work really well together. I mean, that's part of the reason. She'll come on my platform, I go on her platform, because our audiences are similar. We're serving the same audience, but we don't do the same thing, right? So it allows
complement each other.
Exactly. And so those are the people that you want to be looking for and collaborating with and spending time really facilitating strong relationships that will lead to you growing your audience, right?
Well, and I want to go back to one thing, because I meant to mention this earlier. You talked about doing market research. Market research isn't hard, and it's actually not expensive. One of the things I've been doing with setting up the Entrepreneur Emporium was I wanted to find out what people wanted. So I'm on a ton of Facebook groups where the people that I want to sell to are. So guess what I did? I just went on there and I said, here's some designs I'm thinking of. Which ones do you guys like best?
Yeah.
Right. I was designing the You're on Mute mug. I wanted to find out what kind of fonts and text people liked. Exactly. So I put 3 or 4 designs up there. Right. It was free market research, and it didn't take me long to figure out, out of the 4 options, there was 2 that were really strong and 1 that was the strongest.
Yeah. And I mean, another great thing is to go into those groups and say, hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's who I want to serve. Does anyone have 15 minutes to talk to me? Here's my Calendly link. And then you get on the call with them and you make sure you have your questions ready and you ask them that, right? There's so many different ways to get out there and do that, because some people might be thinking, well, my Facebook group, my Facebook audience isn't engaged, doesn't always answer me, or maybe my Instagram family, they don't know to tap the buttons and vote on my stories, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't go into those groups and just ask somebody if they want to get on the phone with you. If you don't want to be on Zoom, don't. Just schedule a time with them, and maybe they put their phone number into your Calendly link or Acuity scheduling, and off you go. But the thing is, you have to start asking, because just because you think people need it doesn't mean that they need it. They also, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, well, how much should I charge for this? Well, ask people, what would you pay for this?
Yeah.
Right? It's for you can kind of do a Google search and go, okay, these 3 e-commerce stores are selling mugs for this much money. and this is my profit margin, and, you know, and all that stuff. As a service provider, we tend to struggle a little bit with that. But, you know, when you get on the phone, that should be one of your questions. What would you pay for this? Right? And when you're basing your content for your first digital product on what people are asking you all the time, I mean, there's also proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
If you get asked, you know, the same question at least 10 times a month, then chances are somebody's interested in it, right? And I think, you know, people might think, well, this is a product, you know, digital products, online courses, books, they're only for coaches, they're only for digital media people. No. I have talked to people in the beauty industry about online courses, I've worked with event planners. I've even talked to travel agents who are doing really interesting things right now because, you know, again, they've been asked to evolve or repeat. And for them right now, repeat doesn't work because nobody can travel. So they might have travel guides. I've talked about online course ideas, right? If you specialize in cruises, it might be an introduction to cruising, or, you know, Disney cruises versus like maybe they buy a cruising pack after intro to cruising. They buy a cruising package where you tell me about Disney cruising and Alaskan cruisings and whatever, right? Or you might have an online course for specific areas. Maybe everybody likes to travel to Ireland, Britain, and Scotland all at once. So you've got a course for each one, right? A 2 or 3 module, right? These are things that, you know, anybody can come up with right now.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you know, chiropractors, real estate agents, you know, people in the financial industry, clothing, like you name it, you know, whether it's product or service, right? You can come up with a digital product for it because people want the behind the scenes. Like you talked about cruising, you know, a great course is, you know, how to get the most out of your cruise for the least amount of money. You know, what are the secret hints and tips? What are things that cruise lines provide that you get if you ask, but you don't get if you don't ask, right? Like, exactly. So, you know, when you get creative and you think about it.
Yeah. And these are things that people call you up. And again, for travel agents, I mean, this could be something that somebody's calling you up for, and then they just go book the cruise on like Expedia or something, or is that another travel website, right? I use travel agents, so I'm not sure. But, you know, instead, you could say, hey, oh, yeah, I've got a great course about that. And you have a product to offer them. Dee is saying she took an online makeup course. Yes, I've been talking. This is now, and Dee, you may have heard me say this too, this is now prime real estate, right? Right here is now prime real estate. Teaching me how to do my makeup for camera, teaching me how to do my hair and even my clothing, right? And how to show up in different ways. This is all stuff that hairstylists, makeup artists, and even personal stylists could be creating courses on, right? You could like even, and you could go into the direct sales world as well, right? Teach me about my I'm thinking doTERRA because my daughter beforehand, I was just, as you know, I was just being interviewed for a segment for Global News, and my daughter, thank you. My daughter came and she's like, you look anxious, Mom. And so she came and rubbed on some essential oils for me. But again, same thing, essential oils 101, then show me different then pick a thing, because pick a topic and show me that, right? An online course, you know, it can be, or a digital product can be, you know, teaching your process. If you're a coach and you've got a process, it could also be something that just highlights one specific hurdle of your client's journey, right? So as you're saying, right, cruising could be the one thing, like if cruising is your industry, the first thing is cruising 101. The next one might be for the price sensitive people. You might do one that's just because you know that you've got a bunch of people that they already love cruising, but they would love to know how to do it even more effective, like even more efficiently, right? So then maybe that's your one course that you create, right? It could be one specific hurdle that they're going through. It doesn't, so that's the thing with online courses, people will say like, well, I don't know what to teach. And the same thing with a book, right? Yeah. They're like, well, I don't know what to teach. Well, we need to narrow that down. And it could be, like I said, it could simply just highlight one specific hurdle that your client's going through.
Well, you know what? Something that just came to me while you were talking is go on Udemy, right? how many courses are there between probably, I think about $15 and $50 is probably about the average for a lot of the courses that answer one question.
Yeah.
It's about 30 minutes on one question, right? So if you're kind of stuck about thinking about what to create as a digital product, why don't you go on Udemy or some of these other, sites that sell courses and start typing in and watch the ones that are selling the most, because that's what people want to know. So type in what it is that you do or your target market or whatever, and start looking at those courses.
Absolutely, because you don't have to create another course. It could be it could be an audio product, it could be a video product, whatever. But the next step to that is, again, and this is market research, right? Market research again, guys, is to look at what they're offering and figure out where the gaps are. What are they missing?
Exactly.
So that's where you're gonna land.
Yeah.
Right? See, that's where you're going to land. So when I look at other, and that's how you're going to find your unique selling proposition. When I looked at other digital course creators and people who were helping entrepreneurs come up with digital courses, they weren't necessarily helping service providers like I am.
Yeah.
They weren't really focusing on the struggle of packaging your experience into a product. They didn't have the former teacher element. But you know what the big thing was that was being missed? Was that it was always, this is the course, this is the one thing. It was completely missing how this course fits into your business. So, and what was I seeing happening? People would launch a course once or twice, and then they didn't really know how it fit in. They didn't know what to do with it, so they put it to the side.
Yeah, exactly.
And they went back to the one-on-one work.
Well, right? It was the same thing with RTI Publishing, right? I finally realized that I wanted to work with entrepreneurs, first of all, because I am an entrepreneur, but I saw that, all these entrepreneurs are being encouraged to write books, but they weren't being told to write books to help them build their business. Well, they were told to write books to write their business, help their business, but they weren't being told how to write the right book to build their business.
To have the right strategy and the right expectations from it as well, right?
Yeah, because it's not just about becoming an author. I mean, yes, there is an element of credibility in becoming any type of author. Okay. Absolutely. But if you want to write a book to build your business, then it has to be a very targeted book. Like you can see some of the books back there behind me. Selling from the Heart, Larry Levine. He works with sales professionals. That's who he works with. That's who the book was written to. Revenue Growth Engine, Daryl Amy. He wrote that book for mid-level businesses that were looking to double or triple their business in 3 years. Yeah. Right? Sport of Life, Canadian Olympic coach. With that. Exactly. Canadian Olympic coach.
And there was strategy behind it. Right? Yeah. What am I going to use the book for? Right? Because that's the key, guys. You got to ask yourself, like, even with this digital product, what am I using this digital product to do? Here's what it should be doing. Your digital product should be, one, converting your audience into customers, into paying customers. That's the first thing it needs to do. Two, it needs to lead to the next product on your value ladder. And three, it needs to give your clients a piece of that transformation that they're here for, so that they know that you can deliver on what you promised them.
Yeah. Well, Larry's strategy was to use the book to get on stages.
Right.
There were some really big stages he wanted to get on. He couldn't get on without becoming an author. What he didn't realize, though, was the effect that this book was going to have. Like, if you go check this book, there's at least 150 5-star reviews on Amazon.com. Not only has he been asked to speak on stages, but humongous companies are coming, paying for him to train their sales teams. And he was doing this before, but it has exploded.
Yeah.
And that was part of his strategy.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys, it generates leads for him. That's the thing that all of your products should be doing. And that's when I looked at it, that's when I realized what my specialty was. And it really is, like I said, putting the product into the foundation of your business, making sure that you understand how it fits, so that you don't come up with it, launch it once or twice, and forget, and then just leave it there, right? I want you to be clear how it fits into your business. And when you do that, then you can make sure that you're generating leads with it, right? Because remember, your client's on a journey. So with your author, he had a strategy, and it worked, right? But he also knew what that next step was for his client. So it was generating leads for him to do the training. The speaking, it got him on the stages, but it was also generating leads still for the other work, the training, right? And that's what a good product does. And that only comes from understanding your client, understanding their transformational journey, and then figuring out what the value ladder is, right? And that value ladder can change, guys. Like, people might be like, well, in 5 years, my value ladder may not look the same. You're right. Your value ladder or sales funnel, whatever you want to call it,
I hope it doesn't
look the same. Because your clients are going to grow, your clients are going to mature, your audience, and you're going to mature. Things are going to change, right? I always think of, like, Miley Cyrus when she was on Disney, and then Miley Cyrus now. Two very different people, because she changed. If you're giving your clients the transformation that they need, they are going to change. Yes, and you're going to change too, because we're all kind of, growing and learning as we go. But if you don't pick something and get to work on it, you're going to be spinning your wheels. You're going to be stuck in the friend zone. Trust me. I know.
Well, it's funny. Been working on just a lot of quotes and stuff, because I started a new Facebook page called Motivational Quotes for Entrepreneurs, obviously, to go with my line of motivational items. And I looked back on one that I had made up years ago, and it's the book was called it's like a thing, and it says the book title is called How to Be Amazing at Anything. And you open the book, there's one word: practice.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody has to start. Everybody starts. I mean, sometimes I think we get starstruck and we look at these people, who have already done these amazing things and who are further down the road, but you didn't see them when they were starting, right? Everybody has to start somewhere. So just start. Get moving, right? Are you going to get tremendous results in the beginning? Probably not. But that's okay. You're still learning. You're still growing. Right.
Yeah, as Dee and I have a mutual friend. Her name's Kristen James, and she posted, and you can follow her on Instagram. She posted today, you don't compare your step 1 to somebody else's step 10. Right?
Exactly.
Step 100, right? So I think that's the key. But one of the things that you do, and then we can wrap up. But one of the things that you do really well is you try things out.
Yeah.
And that's the only way people will say, well, if I do this, then is it going to sell? Well, if you know your audience, you've done your market research, you've talked to people, heck, even just pre-selling a product to see if it'll sell, that's going to answer that question.
Exactly.
But guess what? You got to try. That's the only way. All of these people that you're watching online who have different strategies and all that, that's just because they tried something. They failed a couple times, and then this worked. And so now they're teaching you how to do it because they figured it out.
I've always said I failed my way forward.
Yeah. Right. And that's a lot of what happens. Right. And a lot of these people too, like you said, they're entrepreneurs, but they're really just 5 or 6 steps ahead of you. And they know something you don't. And that's one of the things that I know with a lot of my course makers. They'll say, well, I'm not an authority. I'm not an expert in it. Well, if you know it better than somebody who's 4 or 5 steps behind you, then you're an expert to them.
Yeah.
Right. When it comes to Roblox, my kid is an expert at it because she knows more about it than I do. Probably because she spends a lot of time on there. But, that's what she's an expert in. She understands YouTube, right? She's getting views, and I don't even know how she's doing it, but so she could. Okay, Mom, I'll charge you $100. Sit down, and I'll give you an hour's worth of training of what I know. She probably doesn't even know that she knows it. But again, right? Exactly. You know something that other people don't. And that's a great starting point. So when you're worried, like, hey, am I an authority? Do you know something someone else doesn't know? Then yeah. I mean, I am an authority on many different television shows because I watch them incessantly.
Oh, right? Yes.
Right? I don't think anyone's going to pay me for that knowledge, but I am an expert.
Well, if they ever come up with a TV version of Jeopardy, like TV only version of Jeopardy,
That's right. And I actually have a strange ability to recognize cover boxes from years of working at Blockbuster. So you'd like scan the shelves as you were putting stuff away. So yeah. Right? Yeah, that's me.
So Samantha, I know that you came today with a gift for everyone. So I'll let you loose for a minute and then we will wrap it up because we're coming up to, we're 50 minutes now. Man, I can't believe it. The time has gone by so fast. So why don't you tell us what you give away and put it in the comments for us?
Awesome. Thank you. I would love, this is the thing. I think it's so funny. And I've put it in the, I can't quite figure out how to comment on here. Just give me a second. Oh, I don't have the comment feature, but I've given it to you, Kim, in the chat. Let's talk about, I'm giving away my free guide. It's my 4-step process to coming up with your first digital product idea. So a lot of the stuff that we've talked about here today, but in a nice succinct guide for you, and you can download that for free. The URL is bit.ly/Fempire free guide. Fempire has an F in front of the word empire, and it's going to walk you through 4 steps that'll get your creative juices flowing, figure out what it is that you're going to put into this product, and then help you figure out which product it is. And of course, we've included some digital product ideas for you. So if an online course is too big for you or you're not ready for the book yet, this is a fantastic starting off point for you, and it's absolutely free for you to download.
Awesome. I'm just putting it here in the chat and making sure people know that that's your link, not my link.
Thank you so much. I mean, I love coming on and chatting with you. And part of that is because we do similar things, but in different ways. And we have such great synergy. And I think that, you know, whatever it is that you're doing to build your authority, it's so important. I mean, your training, when you talk about going from invisible to authority, I mean, that is huge. And you talk about very much, you know, the importance of getting away from that one-to-one to that one-to-many.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it starts with things like digital products.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, I think one-to-one's important because it gives you such an incredible foundation for your business. If you can build a business one-to-one, then when the time is right and you move to one-to-many, you can handle it. But if you try to start with one-to-many, many times you'll fail because you don't have a foundation in place.
Exactly.
But, you know, that digital product is one of that great ways to begin going to that one-to-many. And so I highly recommend that you check out Samantha, get the free guide, check out Fempire Builders, right? Like she's amazing. You know, her and I have conversations and I come away, my brain is just spinning because I'm like, oh, wow. Like you need ideas. Samantha is one of our ideas person. Crystal is our social media person. Carol Boston, she's the queen of reframe. You know, when you're going through something, you start talking to her about it. She just says like 2 sentences and you're like, okay, my world's changed again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. She's amazing at that. Absolutely.
And that's why I love our Authority Gang. So if you're wondering more about the Authority Gang, go to www.authortoauthority.com/podcast. And each month you will see on the second Friday of the month, you will see an episode from the Authority Gang. So this has been Kim Thompson-Pinder and Samantha King. So excited to do this live today. And we hope you enjoyed it. If you are watching this on the replay, come on in, leave a comment. Leave a comment. Okay, it's dinner time, right? I need sugar.
Yeah, we're ready to eat. We're ready for dinner now. Yeah.
And leave a comment and also put #replay so we can tell that you've watched us on the replay. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for being here today. And you know, we are going to be doing these on a regular basis. So have a great day, everyone. And don't forget to take action. Click on Samantha's link.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye, guys.